Hey, beautiful people, it is Teachable Tuesday, which means it is my time and opportunity to come to you and offer a little bit of knowledge, some insight, and maybe even a revelation as you start, build, and elevate your purpose-centered business. And so today's lesson, I just want you to stop doing this one thing, which is I want you to stop spraying and then praying, right? So what are you talking about, Candace? Spraying and praying is a concept that I developed years ago during my very first job out of college. And I used to work in radio advertising, and I used to have my whole list when you're a newbie is all about small businesses, local businesses, mom and pop businesses who have a very, very, very limited marketing budget. And so if you can convince them to spend 90 or even 100 or 50% of their budget with your station, right? Because this is back in the day when social media didn't exist. So businesses were spending money with TV, radio, and newspaper like that, and maybe billboards, right? Like that's where people spent their bulk of their money. And so it was my job to convince them to spend their money with radio because it is a fantastic medium, right? But it doesn't matter how fantastic the medium is, if they don't see a return on their investment, they're not spending that money next quarter, next month, next week. And guess what that means as someone who worked on commission? I didn't get to eat, right? And so I had to get really, really clear on how the game of advertising was played. And what I quickly discovered is that because we were number 2 in our market and we had 5 stations with 5 very different audiences, the big boys, and when I say big boys, I'm talking global and national brands, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars at our station. But they had a very different strategy than what my mom and pop businesses were doing. So mom and pop would say, well, hey, Candace, here's my budget. Take it, put it on all the stations, just let it do what it does, right? One message, just let it do what it does. But the big boys would come in and they would say, listen, I want to spend this amount of money on this station at this time with this content, right? So we had a copywriter and a producer in-house, as well as we are focusing for that station on this product. And they did that with every single station. So what did that mean? It meant that even though they had all kinds of money, what to me seemed like to play with, they were really, really strategic. And they were really intentional about who they were speaking to, how they were speaking to them, and what they were offering them. And so fast forward today, there is no difference in the social media world, right? You cannot sit here and just do something generic and post it on all the platforms and just hope that you get some followers and then again, spray it and then pray. That's never going to work for you. So what you have to start doing is get really, really clear on who the heck is your audience, right? Like who are your core customers? And number 1, are you building up that audience? Because if you're not building up that audience, why do you expect to make any sales? The other thing is once you know who you're speaking to, you better know how to speak to them, which means you need to be creating content that starts a conversation because it speaks directly to that person, right? You're playing on social media now, which means they need to be able to, they're scrolling all day. You have to be able to make them stop and pay attention. And the last part of that is, what is the product or service that you're offering them? The problem with the mom and pop businesses in radio, they were like, oh, we got this one product promoted on 5 different stations to 5 totally different people, even though some of those 3 out of 5 don't really need it. What a waste of money, right? And so the big boys didn't play like that. They said, listen, we know that audience. Here's how we want to talk to them. And here's the product that we're going to be offering them. So in brief, what I need you to stop doing when I say spraying and praying is I want you to get intentional. I want you to get strategic about what it is you are out here putting out in the world. And I want you to be intentional as well as strategic about who you are making connections with, because there's no point in having 100K followers if nobody's purchasing from you. So that's it. That's all. That is this week's lesson. I want you to get very, very clear. Who are you speaking to, right? What are you saying to them? And what are you offering them? Get those 3 things in alignment, and I promise you will start to see results. If you have any questions, you can DM me, or if you want to, drop some comments below. I always try to respond, as well as I'll put a link up above to join my free Facebook group, Purposeful and Prosperous Women. So I look forward to serving you guys and hope you have a beautiful Tuesday. Thanks. Bye-bye.